one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it, because you can.
This story is brought to us from opb.org. Hours after a conservative journalist and influencer was arrested by the Portland, Oregon Police Bureau on Thursday, the force of the Trump administration has come knocking in the city. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt announced Friday a full investigation into the Bureau and the city. And a pair of U.S. Deputy Assistant Attorneys General have issued a list of demands. According to a memo obtained by OPB, the U.S. Department of Justice is demanding body-worn camera footage and documentation surrounding the Thursday arrest of conservative personality Nick Sorter, along with an earlier incident where a journalist from right-wing outlet The Post Millennial was assaulted by a demonstrator. Now, federal authorities are also looking for records connected to the city's decision to enforce zoning laws against the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Facility, the building in South Portland, Oregon, that has been the focus of protests. They said, while we have not reached any conclusions on these allegations, we note a consistent theme in these three allegations. All three would choose one viewpoint over another, read the memo signed by Harmeet K. Dillon and R. Jones Geisler, two civil rights attorneys at the Federal Department of Justice. The letter suggests federal authorities will investigate whether the three incidents merit penalties for the city in an ongoing settlement agreement between Portland, Oregon police and federal authorities over how officers have treated people with mental illness in the past. At a press conference Friday, Portland Police Chief Bob Day said that the 2014 agreement has helped shape how the city responds to events such as the ICE protest. He said, we were harshly criticized in the way we responded to racial justice protests in 2020, said Day. Said, we've changed our response. This direction they are giving us we'll certainly comply with. We'll share the necessary information. I welcome the scrutiny. Now, the Trump administration did not contain its ire to a quiet memo on Friday. Leavitt railed against Portland police in a press briefing from the White House on Friday, claiming that officers had arrested Sorter after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. Instead of arresting these violent mob members who night after night after night are ravaging this community, they arrested a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, said Carolyn Leavitt. Everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. Now, Leavitt added that President Trump has directed his administration to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy, end quote. Trump has moved repeatedly to block funding from cities with policies he disagrees with, most notably sanctuary laws that block police from enforcing immigration laws. In Portland, those attempts have so far been unsuccessful. The federal government should be focused on partnering with us to expand housing, create jobs, and bolster social services, not siphon vital funding from our economy during a government shutdown that is already hurting cities like ours across the nation, said Portland Mayor Keith Wilson in a statement. Video circulating online shows Sorter being arrested by Portland police officers, but not what led up to that moment. The PBB said in a release early Friday that Sorter was one of three people it had arrested for disorderly conduct for fighting outside the ICE facility. That's the Portland Police Bureau. Sorter told a Fox News reporter that he had been knocked down by anti-ICE protesters and unsuccessfully threw a punch while on the ground in order to defend himself. He said, I get back up, I stumble away and go back toward the cops where I think, at least All right, well, maybe that'll be a safer place for me to go, not near the cops. Fox quoted Sorter as saying, never suspected that I was going to be the target of the arrest, that they were coming in to me.
New video shows the arrest of a journalist covering the protest outside of an ICE facility there. Take a look. Nick Sorter, a conservative influencer with more than 1 million followers on X and many more on other platforms, was taken into custody on a charge of disorderly conduct. And this video was filmed showing all of that. The arrest came as fights broke out within the crowd, leading to several people being detained, as Sorter was simply covering the escalation and the protests. He has been doing so on his social media platforms.
A spokesperson for the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office said prosecutors are reviewing the arrests. The spokesperson couldn't say when official charges would be filed. Bob Day said he hadn't read any reports and wasn't familiar with the details of Sorter's arrest. He rejected Levitt's assertion that Portland police were siding with anti-ICE demonstrators. He said, I'm not standing up here with the governor or anyone else. I'm standing here as the police chief of a major American city and telling you we're doing the job that's expected of us. In separate footage from recent protests, Sorter can be seen snatching a burning American flag out of a protester's hands and extinguishing the fire. Federal authorities are also hoping to look into an alleged assault on Katie Daviscourt, a journalist for the Post-Millennial. Daviscourt, who has covered the ICE protests for months, reported being punched in the face by a demonstrator earlier this week. Daviscourt, that'd be last week. Daviscourt has said she followed the assailant and attempted to get a nearby Portland officer to make an arrest. Portland police say that that officer was one of the city's dialogue liaison officers who cannot get involved in enforcement action. I'm just here. The woman assailant left the scene and police are asking for information that could help find her. Lastly, Portland officials said last month they would enforce the city's zoning code following evidence that ICE kept detainees in its Portland facility more than the allowed 12 hours. Friday's Department of Justice memo seeks all unredacted incident reports, force reports, arrest reports, general order reports, and after-action reviews of the incidents. It also seeks complaints about the incidents, email communications, and information about the city's zoning decisions involving the ICE building. Notably, Dillon, one of the assistant attorneys general who signed the letter, has a history of taking on Portland protesters. In 2020, while in private practice, she filed suit on behalf of right-wing figure Andy Ngo after he was beaten during a demonstration. News of the federal inquiry adds tension as Portland and Oregon officials square off with the federal government over the ongoing protests. On Friday, attorneys for the city and state asked a judge to block President Trump's order sending 200 National Guard members to help protect the ICE building. As of early afternoon, no decision had been made in that case. So what we have in Portland now, unlike Chicago, is these, well, maybe it did happen in Illinois, you just didn't hear about it as much. But here in Portland, man, Oregon, and Portland, Oregon is a highly liberal city. In fact, Oregon itself is a highly liberal state. When I was in the Army, I was an Army recruiter for 3 years, which really is a used car salesman. I'm not joking. I'm sorry to have to say it that way, but you are. Medford, Oregon, Jackson County. I lived in Ashland. Oh my God, you talk liberal. And you didn't go downtown in an Army uniform because they'd be like, hey, cannon fodder. Hey, you baby killer. You're like, shut up, dude. Highly liberal. And the whole state. And here's President Trump marching or threatening to march these troops into this city. So you have a conservative Republican president saying to a highly liberal city, I'm going to send troops into your city. It ain't going to go well. It's not going well. They are throwing their hands up and going, look, we're going to take you on, both hands. And it's causing problems. And then this reporter, Sorter, what did you think was going to happen when you ran up to the police? Of course they're going to arrest you. They're the police.